That was good. I like that.
I think we're good. Okay. So, welcome to the empowerment episodes, to Upbringing. To us, I'm Hannah.
I'm Kelty.
This is going to be our first Dear Upbringing today, where we talk about someone's challenge and get into it a little bit. We're going to try and make this snappy. We know you're busy.
We're trying. We've been whittling it down, cutting it down, practicing our fast talk.
These challenges are really complicated, and we care about them a lot. But yeah, time is precious. So we're going to get going here.
Yeah. So we believe the hard stuff's the good stuff.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about these issues and not just find a silver lining, but talk about ways to really lean in and see them as opportunities for growth. Both our kids, both us. And we like talking about these tough behaviors. Behaviors our children exhibit, behaviors we may be exhibiting alongside them.
Absolutely.
It's all kind of connected and yeah. So what are we talking about today?
Let's elevate.
Yes.
Everybody.
We hear today from a parent who is having some hygiene issues with their 2-year-old. And I'm going to read the letter. Dear Upbringing, sometimes my 2-year-old lets me brush his teeth. Sometimes he sucks the toothpaste off and chews his toothbrush and, quote, does it himself. But sometimes he is too busy playing and says no, and or refuses to even enter the bathroom. I tried promising more books before bed and have occasionally threatened skipping reading books altogether if he wouldn't brush or let me do it for him. But when he's like this, he doesn't seem to care. So a few times a week when I feel that it has been too long since they have gotten a good scrubbing, I lay him on the bed and sit on top of him and he screams and I really get in there. It doesn't feel good, but I want him to develop good habits around this stuff. But how the F do you brush a toddler's teeth? But really, how do you guys brush teeth? Not signed, but awesome.
So do we know? We don't know. It's just a parent.
A parent.
Okay. Yeah. Man, do we feel you on this one. I feel like this is a universal issue.
Sure.
I mean, not just toothbrushing,
I was
but
going to say
hygiene.
so universal. I haven't flossed in like 2
Hygiene.
weeks.
In general. I was wondering. It's a good thing you have some lime there. But like, brushing hair, getting in the shower, putting shoes. I mean, any kind of...
Soaping up your parts.
Yeah.
All this
any
stuff.
of that stuff where it's like, it's this process of us helping them completely to then like us like, needing to let go and them needing to take it on. It's so frustrating. I've been having some struggles with my son. He's almost 3, where he will go around the time of toothbrushing, literally go and like hide. He'll disappear and I'll be like, where's Laszlo? But of course his hiding is like, he just like has his hands over his eyes, like on it, like all like curled up. It's so cute.
But the good news is his hiding skills and his hygiene skills will both be improving as he gets older.
Right, but it takes time.
It takes
and
some
that's
time.
what we want to be talking about here, for sure.
Another kind of like thing going into this that I think about is like, wow, so many of these important transitions or important activities happen during transitional times, like morning when you're trying to get out the door or nighttime when you're trying to get to bed and you're kind of kids are grouchy and sleepy
and you're grouchy and sleepy
and so it just makes it extra hard.
So
it's just 2 minutes,
but those 2 minutes can really fuck up your day to start out the day that way or to end the day with like such a tough time. So absolutely get that too. I feel like it's also such a pressure and responsibility where it's like we have this this feeling like we need to help them to have healthy teeth, to have healthy habits, to understand the value behind all of these things, and we have to answer to their dentist. Like if we don't get shit done for them,
some element of pressure there.
Yeah, then we have to speak to the dentist, and they go through pain. Like it's a really big responsibility.
My dentist is really scary.
Is he?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of dentists are kind of scary in that way. Like they wear like the fun scrubs, but they're really actually hardcore. Yeah.
This is good because we like to take any challenge, any struggle, and start it off with this is good because. This is good because this person brought it to the table, wants to work on it, has that ding ding in the back of their minds. This doesn't feel great. Maybe this could be improved. So much can be improved about it though. Like what are some things, Kel? Yeah, I think this is all about growing. So all the things we're going to talk about are ways that you can be more connected to your kid, ways that you can have more fun with your kid during this thing that's been like not fun, ways that you can be thinking about them kind of going into the world as a person who is trim nails, decent hair, not too smelly, good breath, all that good stuff. Goals. What else?
Yeah, these challenges are good for all of those reasons. And we're going to go through some ways to move through those in a way that promotes that connection, promotes their skill building and your skill building, all their collaborative kind of skills and things. Instead of having to control and not feel that great about it. All of these are always about how can we trust instead of control. What can we do? What does trust mean? What does it involve? And that's kind of the 4 powers that we talk about. And if you haven't watched that episode or listened to that episode, I think it's our first empowerment episode where we go through our 4 powers, which is basically 4 ways we can approach a situation instead of controlling. So other ways to get shit done. Respect, connect, innovate, which used to be solve. So that's why I paused there, because I was like, shit, what did we call it now?
Yeah.
Innovate and trust.
We're just going to keep changing stuff up every time.
This is our process. We are developing. So those are the 4 powers. That's how we're going to run through this problem today, using those things. What else? Insights and considerations.
Some insights. Just age-wise, just things to be thinking about with this little guy. It's a big time for kind of resistance in general. And it's not just like average and common. It's like very developmentally appropriate and important. If he weren't pushing back and resisting and wanting to do it himself or saying no, that would be worrisome.
Absolutely.
So just hearing that feels really good, right?
Yeah, kids that age are individuating. They've been your little baby, and they've been like really in their minds, they've been part of you. And then at this age, they're starting
18 months,
they're starting to pull away and to assert themselves and to realize, oh my God, I'm my own independent, unique person. I have control. I can wield this control. And that's all very healthy and very great. And also a big pain in the ass. So,
Another consideration. Dentists say that we should be supporting our kids in their toothbrushing up to age 8, which sounds like a really long time. But our problem with that is like, what the fuck does support look like? It's like this parent writing in is trying to support their kid by trying to do it themselves, letting him do it himself, and then just kind of getting it done because they're worried. Is that what supporting looks like? So that's just something going on too.
Yeah. Also, we always talk about, as far as development goes, the physical and emotional readiness. So, just because maybe your son can kind of get in there and do stuff doesn't mean that he's going to do it all the time. Doesn't mean he's going to be emotionally ready to do it. Doesn't mean he's going to want to do it, all of those types of things. And so our job is to just continue that push, pull. They do it, we do it, they do it, we do it, they do it, we do it. And this is one of those situations where our support is necessary.
Yeah. Also sort of research-based is talking about the fact that the parent kind of said that they were trying to offer some incentives and disincentives or punishments and rewards around
positive and negative reinforcement.
Whatever that is. But research shows that using positive and negative reinforcement can end up actually undermining the skill building around whatever the thing is. Even though we all have leaned on it, it seems so common.
Well, then
it
can be like,
sense.
It can sometimes be effective in the short term, but especially in the long term, it can really prevent them from learning how to brush their teeth, establishing the habit of brushing their teeth, and then continuing with the value and understanding of the importance of it. Yeah. So we want to be really careful. I think it's so easy to want to be like, fuck, I need to get shit done. These teeth need to be brushed. I've got to do it. So it seems a lot more respectful to offer positive and negative reinforcement or incentives or punishments or whatever instead of forcing it and holding him down. But as this mom has seen, or person or dad, as this person's seen, that it doesn't always work. So the child is already saying no, and then the person's still having to follow through with some force. So it's a really tough situation, and I think we just immediately lean on these kind of knee jerk, typical conventional wisdom based stuff.
But it's not even just the positive negative reinforcement. It's just either being permissive and just being like, okay, he did a crappy job himself, I'm just going to let it go, even though I know that wasn't great. Or I'm going to go to the other side and kind of overdo it, maybe.
Well, and that's the ping pong that we go through as parents so easily,
right.
Which is, I want to be respectful, but then I start feeling like they're walking all over me and fuck that, and I'm going to have to take control. And so it's kind of, you go to these both extremes, and what I think we're talking about
Middle
is
way.
that middle way, and saying, no, using these 4 powers of ours, or whatever powers you end up deciding to use, there are other ways to go about getting compliance, building skills, building connection, all of that stuff.
Yeah. So let's dive into the first step.
Okay.
Respect.
What do you want to say about respect? This sets the scene.
This is our primer. This is more about mindset and approach and considerations than it is about things to say or necessarily things to do. It's more about getting yourself ready to engage respectfully.
When we think of respect as channeling the role of an advocate, so we're the advocate of our family, we need to see the needs of everybody. Those needs of everybody are really unique. My needs are different than my kids' needs. My kids' needs are different than their siblings'
skills
needs.
and agendas.
And skills and all of those things. Also, as an advocate, it's the idea of being of looking at behavior and needs and being like, I'm going to look under this behavior for the root cause of the needs. You're wanting to find out. You're wanting to understand.
And really the base of this respect step begins with the acknowledgement that you do not own your child, that your child is not you or is not us, and that they're deserving of respect around their feelings, their experience, and their
bodies,
stuff, their bodies as a separate person.
And that doesn't mean that we're not in charge. As the advocate, we're responsible. We need to be setting clear limits and boundaries and communicating those efficiently and respectfully.
Yeah.
But ultimately, with the idea and the acknowledgement that they are their own person and we need to work with that, not against it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that this step, respect step in this case, is a lot about just figuring out how to feel comfortable in your conviction in whatever you're choosing. So that comes with asking why. Why is this so important? What about this is important? And the way we see it in this case is there are 3 things at play. One is to get dental health. The health of your kid, so of his teeth, just as a totally separate thing. And it seems like this parent just really feels like every now and then it just needs a good scrubbing, like it has to happen. So that might be one of the priorities for this parent. Another thing at play, consideration at play, is habit. So just wanting the skill to be there consistently and be building a habit into adulthood, right? And then the third thing at play is the value around it. So we like to think about that meaning just a deeper understanding of why it's important and an enjoyment of it, and it maybe and hopefully an inner motivation, to want to do it.
Yeah,
Right.
that it's internalized basically as a value.
So those are the 3 things at play, and I think that everybody probably, whether consciously or subconsciously, has some sort of prioritization within those 3.
Right. That it's it's not just that it's healthy to do it. It's not just that they know how to do it through habit, but it's that they know why to do it and want to do that, right?
It is. I just think it's funny. You're saying 1, 2, and 3, and that's not enough. You have to use fingers too, and then you also point to those fingers as you're doing.
I want to be clear.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah, I'm going to point a finger at you right now.
Anyway,
we're going to keep this
where were
clean,
we?
folks.
Okay. Respect step just generally is requiring, as far as we think, a belief that our kids can work on that value part of it. And prioritization for us looks like value at the top, then habits, then clean teeth.
What
They're
are we
going to fall out anyway.
Right, but I think that it's really easy for us to think, well, I have to focus on and prioritize the habit, or I have to prioritize and focus on, this person is, getting those teeth clean for health as often as I need to. The worry that we have with this, though, is what is that doing to the value? Are those prioritizations?
Let's talk about the value. What's our
it?
value for our kids in terms of general hygiene or specifically around toothbrushing?
That they that they understand the health repercussions.
Right. We want them to think these are the only teeth that we're going to have. We want them to think it costs a lot of money when you have to take care of teeth.
It can be really uncomfortable and painful.
Right. We want them to think, man, it feels good with fresh teeth. After I brush them, that feels so good.
Yeah. It makes other people more comfortable around me.
Right. I don't have disgusting kitty
gross
breath.
shit in my
right.
Yeah.
What else? What other value wise? I don't know, you just look good when your teeth are clean, when they're white, when they're sparkly. So a good vanity value in there.
Sure. But those are all kind of the values and the reasons behind it, but those are theirs to cultivate. But the worry here is that we're prioritizing the health
or-
and the habit over the value, with the hopes that they will lead to the value. But what we worry is that the value is actually going to be delayed and undermined,
Right.
If we like have to control the health and the habit.
Right.
Yeah.
So one last thing about while you're respecting that you can actually do is prepare a little bit, which is thinking about like when do you want to give, it's not like a warning, but kind of like a timing thing, just preparing them, explaining why toothbrushing is important if you haven't done that yet. Just creating a dialogue around it, a respectful dialogue, so that they know what's going on with their body.
And why?
And that you realize it's sensitive the times that you need to get in there and help them, because we want them to be cultivating a sense of awareness about their own body versus other people's, and what consent means, and all these other things.
I think it's so easy when we forget to respect that. We just think, well, I know why toothbrushing is so important. My 2-year-old doesn't need to know.
And I'll show them.
I'll show them how important it is by helping them do these things.
A 2-year-old is absolutely old enough for you to talk to.
That's part of the respect step, is saying, this kid deserves to understand and to know and to be told and to be communicated to respectfully about it. So let's build a narrative around this. Let's talk about it. Not over talk, but like, let's share with this person. We had one last thing to say. The big picture.
Oh, well, you kind of covered that.
Well, the big picture idea,
is that they're a valued member of the family. And it also raises the potential for cooperation in a really big way. If they think, I'm part of this plan and I'm not being victimized by some agenda.
Being told why this is happening and how this is going to happen.
They're not only more likely to cooperate, but they'll feel a sense of belonging and support around them as a separate person, learning about their own body and all the weirdness around
when
it.
they're in
it's weird. Putting something in your mouth like that you're not eating, it's just weird.
It's gross.
It's
totally
totally
weird.
gross.
Yeah.
Let's do connect.
Okay. Connect. The idea of connect is that we love our children. We care about them. We want them to feel a sense of trust and safety with tough challenges and big feelings. And that we're there next to them to help co-regulate, to help describe and identify their feelings, to just help build emotional intelligence and build our bond. That's the idea of connect. And then as far as getting shit done,
I was going to say, it is like the most important thing in terms of getting to the thing that you want, building the skills that you want. You got to connect to start that conversation. Think of any of us, if we want to do anything, we have to get buy-in from another person. We have to show them, we care about you. We like you. We love you. I'm interested in what you're doing and your experience. We have to inspire a little bit.
We do. Yeah. So that's what connect is about. We channel the kind of role that we channel in this is the empath. So we're listening non-judgmentally. We're seeking to understand.
So this is happening maybe when he's saying, no, I don't want to, I'm not ready, or whatever it is.
We're welcoming all emotions. We're, looking at his needs instead of just his behavior. So we're describing what we see and what he might be going through. So this is when we're, seeing our kid and they're like, no, I'm playing with these toys. I don't want to go into the bathroom. This is when we're like, oh shit. So I've respected him by telling him all of these things. And now I need to be connecting with him to elicit his cooperation and make it way more likely that he's going to join me in the bathroom with that toothbrush.
Yeah. And that's a big range depending on your kid's age and the type of kid you have. We connect very differently to our kids based on their needs about this.
I mean, mine, I can say, it's time to do toothbrushing. Shall we head into the bathroom? Oftentimes.
And they'll just toddle into the bathroom.
Sometimes.
Most of the time they do, I think. And if I say, it's time to brush teeth, even that cheerfully, I get no, like immediately.
It's a challenge.
They might have just heard my tone, and it's like it becomes a standoff.
So what we're needing to show them with connect, just like with respect and with the future steps we're going to talk about, is that we're side by side with them, that we don't need to get into a power struggle about anything, that even though we're in charge, we value them as a human and we know we can work through these things together, because getting their teeth brushed involves them and it involves us, so we've got to work together. So some ideas for ways to connect is I would probably go over to my child and instead of yelling
Physical
across
proximity.
the room, physical proximity
key.
definitely helps. I'd get down on the floor with him, be like, what are you doing? And show interest in what he's doing. Get buy-in, get this feeling of like, it's not me against you. We're in this together. What are you up to? What are you working on here?
It takes some subtlety.
And it takes a little time too.
Yeah.
We kind of forgot about that with respect. That's also about planning in time for this to maybe take a little longer. It's not just 2 minutes toothbrushing, actually.
Yeah,
It
but I
can be
think
a little
that
longer.
it is such a fixed task and such a fixed like routine time in most people's families. It's like a marching orders, like time to go do that. We got to walk in, as opposed to any other like actual event in their day.
Yeah.
Is there's more flexibility around it. Sometimes lunch is 12 minutes, sometimes it's 25 minutes. You know,
This is a very rigid expectation that we're putting on our kids and on ourselves. So we got to loosen up a little bit, get a little bit flexible, and focus and prioritize connection before any shit is going to happen. So
Agreed.
getting close, engaging in what they're doing, being interested, being curious. And then when we mention, and we communicate information, that's another part of connect, is that we lovingly communicate a boundary or whatever that we've set up before with respect. We say, it's 6 o'clock. This is what time? What do we do at 6 o'clock? And it's toothbrushing
I was
time, so
thinking,
we're gonna
once
head
all
out.
these trucks get into their
Right.
whatever, we'll head into the bathroom together
Yeah.
and
Right. So that's also phrasing it in a way that isn't like it's time to do this. See, I do that because my kids go a little bit more easily. They're a little more flexible, but
I have to
sometimes
be
not
more
even
nuanced.
saying. Yeah. But or say why don't we-
or tuck it in, or I tuck it into,
Right.
and then we'll do some teeth brushing before books. What's the book we want to do? And I just kind of fold it into what's happening
or
next.
you basically do an invitation. How about we crawl into the bathroom like
but that's
bears
part of
or
innovating
whatever.
kind of more.
But even just
But
in that
it's-
moment,
yeah.
it's basically inviting them with information to begin this
Or
transition.
often we say, I'm going to go brush my teeth. Come on, let's go. Come
But
with
whatever
me.
it is, it's a
Yeah.
respectful invitation after you've connected with them a little bit, which then allows the son to be like, I don't want to, or I'm not going to.
At which time you will acknowledge. Sounds like
Yeah,
you're
we
still
do
kind of
this.
into your.
Yeah.
We kind of. It sounds like you're into your playing a little bit more. Maybe should we do a couple more minutes, then we'll go, or. It sounds like you really don't want to go. I know, toothbrushing is this. Just reflect and empathize with whatever they're going to say, so that they know that they're heard, that even though they're probably going to still go into the bathroom with you and brush teeth, that they're just feeling angsty about it. And just, it's amazing the power of connection when you just acknowledge what they say. gosh.
That can literally make them feel like,
The number of days that my daughter says, I'm not going to school today. I'm just not going. I'm going to stay home. I'll come with you to work. I'll whatever.
Yeah.
And
Just
I'm not going to talk her
acknowledging
out of
it
it.
will
Yeah.
get through.
We'll just say it sounds like you don't really want to go to school. Are you going to do that project again? That whatever? Or was so-and-so at school yesterday or whatever it is. And multiple times she says it in the morning. By the end, she just goes along with whatever it was because...
Yeah,
Good
we're
for you.
splitting it. That
Whatever.
doesn't always
It
happen.
doesn't always work either.
But that's the amazing thing with with not controlling and connecting is sometimes it can work. Sometimes all they needed was just you to hear them and see them as real people and seek to understand. And then you say, all right, let's go. And they go with you.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't.
And it's
Like,
an important
you
step
know.
too, because it's just helping them hear what their feelings are, helping them learn respectful connection in a way when things need to get done. So, if orders are being barked at them, our kids are gonna learn that that's how you connect
other
to a
people.
person, right?
Yeah, because there are very many ways to connect, but what we want to
Totally.
do is connect that way.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like the connect one is kind of the shorter step a little bit in the process.
But that leads us to, so let's say connect, didn't quite get through enough to make them willingly walk to the bathroom with us. What would we do then? We would move on to our next step.
Yeah.
Innovate. Yeah. So
Should we
innovate
keep going?
is, the idea that anything is work outable, that these problems do not have to be stumbling blocks. They don't have to be, limiting
Obstacles,
and
yeah.
obstacles, that anything we can move through together. It doesn't have to be a problem that forces us to control with rewards or punishments or other stuff that's, force that's going to make us feel like guilty shit later.
Yeah,
Or
this
going
is-
to push us away from our kid.
This is the fun step where we can channel what we call the creative. And it used to be solve, channeling the secret. That's the last
Whatever,
time we're going to
doesn't
mention
matter.
this.
Yeah.
This is the fun step. And often gets kind of skipped. And often when connecting doesn't go the way we want, we have a pretty low tolerance for innovating, which is basically coming up with creative ways to make this happen or to make
change.
this positive, to elicit cooperation and move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is all about curiosity. It's about silliness. It's about
Problem
solving around
It's about
the
collaboration. Again, it's another way of looking at our relationship with our kid as side by side, and it doesn't have to be us against them. And so it was like that with respect, where we see them as a whole person with their own needs. It happened with connect, where we see we want to see their feelings and understand them so that they can feel like they want to understand us, you know. And now we're at innovate, where we want to work with them so that they want to work with us.
So this is the big one. We have a lot of examples and ideas for this, and there's so many more.
Yeah.
What does that kind of look like?
Well,
what are some ideas?
I think part of innovate is to be thinking about, especially with a 2-year-old who is having, you know, such developmental leaps with his independence and his desire to resist and do things himself, giving him as much agency as possible in something like this, when you have this agenda, is a really great thing. So letting him choose his toothbrush, letting him choose, like if he does it before or after something, whatever you're willing to allow a choice.
In terms of like, should we run there or hop there? Should we, like, especially when you're trying to get to the bathroom, start with choices. Should we do it now or after the truck goes through this really cool thing? Should we, you know, just give it, because
do you want to brush teeth with Papa or with me? You know, any kind of agency makes them feel like, I can do this. I can engage with this because I get a choice. I have a feeling.
I'm handed a gift of something to grab onto.
And this feeling of as a 2-year-old, that their internal locus of control is that idea of feeling that they can be optimistic in the world because they have a sense of agency and a sense of control. We want to be working with that, not against it, as much as possible. So anything we can give this little guy as far as control is a really healthy thing, and will go a long way, you know, with his cooperation.
Maybe you have 2 toothbrushes for him, and then he gets to choose one, whatever it is. What about fun stuff?
Yes.
Oh
my gosh.
We use the Raffi song, the brush your teeth.
Oh, it gets stuck in my head. Don't sing it.
Yeah, stop.
There's a podcast called Chompers that has like 2-minute stories, so it's as long as the one, and they can choose.
Be like, what's going to happen on the Chompers story? Let's go check it out. And
even just like the way we interact, like with them about like, what food am I going to find in there? I see an apple, I see a whatever, or you know, get crazy and be like, I'm looking for dinosaurs in there. What do you think? Like just whatever, you know, your kid. We all know our kids best. So what would make our kids?
And it can be fun stuff getting to there too, as well as challenges like, should we race there? Should we each be an animal? Like,
we do a lot of like upside down carrying.
Can I carry you upside down by your ankles in there?
Can we do 10 jumping jacks?
Be careful in the doorways on that.
And then 10 jumping jacks, and then run into the bathroom and do 2 whatever.
Or like, ride Papa like a bear in there. Or what animal should he be? And you can ride in.
But it's saying like, we're a team. We can collaborate together.
This is supposed to be fun.
We want this to be fun. What else?
Just doing it with them generally, like inviting them, like we said earlier, I'm gonna go brush my teeth, do you want to do it? Just the interactive, like, you brush my teeth for a little bit, I'll brush your teeth for a little bit. What else?
And that gives them agency too, that they get to do it. It's not all happening to them.
Location is one too. It doesn't have to be in the bathroom. We're trying to build this value and this thing. Ultimately, it will be 98% of the time within a bathroom.
But the habit, what we're trying to build, is the toothbrushing itself. Right. So can it be somewhere else? Can it be with a bowl at the kitchen table and they spit in the bowl, or be outside
Can it be standing on the patio looking for
Yeah.
birds while you brush teeth? You know, stuff like that. And then also, we were thinking about this earlier, which is such a big one that's never occurred to us. This might totally freak people out. So, okay, if we really want the teeth brushed, and that's like kind of our primary thing, which this parent really seems like the teeth need to get brushed over the habit. Right. Why not offer it more times during the day than these 2 times? Why not be offering it like at 2:00 on a Saturday,
when they would maybe feel
when they might
less
feel
tired,
good,
less cranky, less about to have a separation with you for work and bedtime.
Because there is a difference between habit and routine. Habit is that the teeth get brushed every day, but the routine is more, it's 5:00 here.
So maybe start with the habit, and then eventually you get to the routine once the habit's established.
Especially if there's some resistance around it. Like, sometimes you have to bend for a week or 2 and make it way more fun, or mix it up, or whatever it is, and then try putting the regular routine back on.
That's the idea behind Innovate, is that we're thinking flexibly. We're we're trying not to feel rigid in these things, and we're asking why. What can we do instead? How can we problem solve this? How can we kind of trick our way into these building these habits and stuff.
We've also used like natural enticements. So not a reward being like, if you brush your teeth, then you get a hot cocoa, or you get to go to the park tomorrow, or something totally
inconsequential,
not
connected.
Not connected. But certain things like, okay, so how about this? We go pick out the books, and we bring the books in to the bathroom while we're brushing teeth, or let's pick those out first, or
just finding some way to connect the thread a little bit of what's next and what they look forward to,
and folding it into the situation there.
Right, and nothing out of what you would normally do, but just helping them see is like, it's not this be all end all toothbrushing and God knows what happens after. It's like, this is part of the evening. You know, starting a routine chart or doing something like that, where a 2-year-old can definitely be like, they can draw and color the chart and put it on the fridge. Can definitely help too, so that they can just see this is part of the normal progression. There are things after this, there are things before this, it's going to be okay.
But big picture, this step is about making it fun, making it a partnership, building good vibes around this thing that we really want them to cultivate, right? We want them to have good feelings about it. We want it to feel light and fun.
And I think beyond that, just the idea of innovating with our kids tells them that any kind of time you feel like resistant and you don't want to do something, or you feel angry at a person or whatever it is, you can always get to that other side.
Because right now, we're the inner voice for our kids. So hopefully one day that voice will be there, and he'll be able to talk himself into cleaning out his garage, or taking a shower at midnight because he knows it'll feel good because he just has a clean
and he puts on his podcast and he figures out ways to get shit done, and when he doesn't really feel like it. That's what we're helping them do right now. Otherwise, we worry if we use control again instead of innovate, that our kids will always be like, I need to get told to do this and controlled to do this habit that's so important. So again,
or they just feel bad that they didn't do it.
Right.
All the time.
So innovate helps really create that intrinsic motivation that we really want to be instilling in them.
Yeah, really. Okay. What's next? Trust. So if innovate... So we've done respect. One of the things too. These are steps in order: respect, connect, innovate. But it's also like, if those didn't work. So let's say at this point he's still in the bathroom now, but saying,
I don't want to do it.
No.
You can't do my...
Or I'm doing it myself, and he's just kind of like holding it right there.
Right.
So touching back into our values, since we personally believe that instilling the value and that deeper understanding and learning is more important than the habit and actual clean teeth at this stage. I kind of lost my train of thought.
Well, then you will just trust that it's going to happen.
Right. Him holding the toothbrush up to his lips at that point is a fucking win to me. Like, my child even coming into the bathroom.
This is your opinion. We're a little different here.
We are different.
But so explain. Like, that you believe that if you've done all of those steps with your kids and they still resist their body doing something, then you forcing a toothbrushing would undermine everything that you had just tried to do, and actually demotivate them to build a habit.
It would absolutely build an aversion to toothbrushing. It would put a wedge between us,
no matter how kindly. And so what I would say in
this
trust step is follow through lovingly. This is where the step where if all of these other things haven't resulted in some toothbrushing and allowing me to brush my kids' teeth, then I would probably say, we've done a little of this, we've done a little of that, it's been so fun, it's been so great, and I see some things in your teeth that, I think we need to get, so I'm going to help you right now, and maybe give a choice, like, do you want me to start on the top or the bottom, or whatever it is, and then I would kind of, make sure that, like, I'm kind of in a spot to support them.
You just kind of corner it a little bit
nicely. Just a little bit. But my children are able to manage that, and they will open their mouths, and I very kindly will say, let's count to 10 or 3 and just do as much toothbrushing as I can. So this is one of those things where it's very up to you and your kids. You and your kids about what you're comfortable with and what they're comfortable with. Kelty's kids would not be comfortable with her forcing, even respectfully, kindly, to brush their teeth.
And I'm not comfortable holding them down and doing it.
What are you afraid it tells them?
I have a personal comfort level. Everyone has their own spectrum. I will hold my kid down if I have to put medicine in their eyes. If it comes to that, and I've worked all the steps, and they need to get this medicine. Yeah. Or a couple times with a nose Frida where I was like, they're not going to sleep unless we get the snot out.
Right.
So that's where I hit and have to do that. Force. Right. And everyone has their own spectrum based on you and your kids, where I have to follow through lovingly. But But if I did that with my kids, it would drive a wedge between us. I've tried situations like this before.
I guess the idea though is that whether you follow through lovingly, like I do with my children, or you allow the situation to be over, like you do, and say, great, we did some amazing toothbrushing. The idea behind this last step is trust in saying, I have done everything to not have to control. Instead, I have respected, I've connected, and I've innovated with my kid. We have built skills, we have built our bond and our connection. The role that we try to channel with trust is the believer. And the believer is fueled by this idea that it's all going to be okay and that we've done everything that we can.
And everyone's doing their best, even when it doesn't look like it. Yeah.
And that no matter how things end, like, consider all the steps that went into it and know that progress is happening.
And I think that's really what it is for me, especially because I'm on that farther end of the spectrum than most people probably, is that it's forced me to really lean into this idea of valuing authentic progress. So progress on my kids' terms, meeting them where they are based on their speed, based on what they're going through in this moment, and realizing what things are in my control and which things aren't, and which things I'm willing to control and which things I'm not. And everybody is on their own spectrum with that. So that's that idea with respect, is getting really, the beginning here is getting really clear on what your values are, why you want to do this, how important that health is. Maybe that's, following through lovingly once a week. Maybe that's following through lovingly every night. Maybe that's never following through lovingly and just believing and trusting that all the other things you did to build this narrative my
working.
My loving follow through isn't about putting a toothbrush in my kid's mouth. My loving follow through is
doing it again
modeling,
the next day.
Is coming back the next day and trying again. It's not like when one of my kids says no and it ends up in a thing being like no when I've tried everything, they don't walk away from that being like, I got out of that one. She lost.
It was a whole process.
They think that it's part of the process. There was no failure for anyone.
Because you didn't have the expectation.
No, and I didn't add a bunch of heat and then
disappointment
feel
and
like I surrendered something or whatever. But the work isn't over for me or any of us. I'm constantly modeling.
Modeling is a huge thing. I think with trust, this last step, it's really easy to be like, trust sounds lazy. It sounds permissive. It sounds woo-woo and complacent. Oh, just trust that they're going to eventually love toothbrushing, so I don't have to do anything.
And it's frustrating because
we can talk about that in the conclusion.
Oh, okay.
I could read your mind.
I know you could. We're tweens. Yeah. What were we talking about? Oh, modeling.
Yeah.
So what are some ways that we can model?
But there are ways. It seems like it's very lazy and we're letting things go, but we're actually working really fucking hard. And one way to be doing that and building this trust is after we've done all these other things through respect and connect and innovate, we can just model the shit out of this toothbrushing. That we have so much power in our modeling. Our kids want to be like us. They want to do stuff like us. So brushing our own teeth and talking about how good it feels to have a fresh mouth. Kissing our partner and being like, ooh, did you brush your teeth? Ooh, I can taste the mintiness.
Or even just sitting next to your kid and making a comment like, oh my gosh, when they did brush their teeth. Instead of like high fives, good job, but building a bit better context to describe and be like, can I smell your breath again? Oh, it smells amazing. Back to the book, whatever. Yeah. But building a context around when it does go really well, and then when it hasn't gone well, sometimes I'll be like, oh, I forgot to brush my teeth this morning. I just feel weird. There's just like, I feel like there's something in there.
Yeah. So we're not like body shaming them or ourselves necessarily, but we're describing, we're building a narrative, we're storytelling. This one time I went to the dentist and I had been brushing and working so hard on my brushing and I got a pink teddy bear and it was so exciting. And you're not manipulating, you're modeling, you're influencing. And this last step with trust and modeling is another form of not controlling. We're using influence over control. And it's just one more way that we're building skills and awareness and our connection with our kid in a way that's respectful instead of having to resort to these control things.
Yeah.
Which are so
easy.
And
I think it's important too to just think of this as like a big game and have this big picture view of what this thing is, and having people in your life like a sibling, like a partner, like a friend that you can talk to about it, being like, the toothbrushing thing. Here's what happened today. To celebrate the successes when they did, or when you pulled out something cool and when you're innovating and it worked.
Find things to laugh about
or
it.
the funny thing when it really didn't work and it went really sideways, and you like the funny things, but like just having that big picture view of like, here's where we are today, here's how it went today, and tomorrow's going to be fresh, and tomorrow we're going to come at it again, and we're going to start over.
And I think so much of this trust step too, this last step, is giving grace to ourselves and our kids, not just in the long game and this trust in the process of development to get a real value and deeper meaning of this habit that we want to instill, but also giving grace to ourselves that when, like as you said, things don't go that great, or when we end up doing
because of
using
us.
some controlling things or yelling or feeling frustrated, which is so understandable, that there's a fresh toothbrush tomorrow.
We don't have to do it again, and we can repair about it. You know?
Yeah.
Like we can be like, when I said that you were never going to have a cupcake again because you didn't brush your teeth, I didn't really mean that.
Yeah, I felt frustrated.
Yeah, I was feeling frustrated.
But part of that trust step is circling back and coming back and saying, this is what was going on. How did you feel about it? What did we? It's kind of debriefing and trusting in the whole process that was there, and trusting in the future too.
And
I feel like we're just,
and it just cycles back to the respect though of like bringing them into the conversation, into the loop, and starting it over. It just keeps going.
Yeah.
So
okay. So
big picture stuff. Anything else?
Well, we're going for intrinsic motivation over extrinsic. So what
we want to build this really important hygiene value with our kids. That is the most important thing to us, is that they want to brush their teeth and want to be clean as adults.
And that may take a year longer or a month longer or whatever. Who knows? May take a little longer. If doing it this way, instead of being like, they will brush it themselves or I will brush it for them. That is a total option, but think of what we're missing when we give them that ultimatum and use control in that way. We're missing the respect, where they get the feeling of being a part of a family and having a voice and a will that can be heard. Not necessarily always agreed upon, but heard. And they're missing the connect step, where we're getting to build a bond and they can be heard again and loved, and where they want to listen to us and work together, leading to the innovated step, where we're building this collaborative partnership with our kids.
And having fun.
And getting creative and learning that anything we can move through together and get to the other side of. And then that feeling of trust that it's all going to be okay. I know that these processes are safe, that these feelings are safe, that
this is all a process, with trusting in the long game through all of it. Yeah, and one last thing, because I'm not sure we touched on it really enough, but these are all like all these hygiene things, and to a degree, eating things and bedtime things and diaper and pooping things. These are all very sensitive things that we need to be approaching with the utmost consideration and respect, because this is not something. This is their body. Like it's something about their body, and so we just need to be really careful and thoughtful. This is why we can talk for an hour about fucking toothbrushing, because it really matters to us.
It's about
really
consent.
Big deal.
It's about really humanizing our kids and setting them up for the future to be able to be human with other people.
Not just to have the skills to stay clean, but to be able to extend the respect that they were given to everyone in their life. To treat other people's bodies with respect and.
But the idea here, hopefully what we've been able to inspire, is that we can get a win-win with something like this. And the win-win is that we're moving through this collaborative process together.
The win on either side is not dependent on whether a toothbrush was in a mouth at all. Not to us.
The win-win is that we are both learning, we're both processing, we're both gaining that deeper meaning and value, as well as the habit, as well as the general health.
Yeah, but it takes a little redefining of success to make that happen.
Yeah, we're interested in what your thoughts are about this. What kind of cool innovation
tricks,
ideas
tips and tricks
have you used with your kids, and not just in toothbrushing, not just with a 2-year-old, but older kids, or not with in another arena of hygiene or general cooperation. I guess that's it.
I think that's it.
This was fun, you guys.
This was really fun.
Cheers. We hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Else?
Keep sending your DMs.
Yeah, these are really fun.
With these things, we'll do a couple of these episodes in a row before we do kind of more of a power of like big idea kind of thing, or a single skill build.
Totally.
But I think that's it. We love you. Thank you. We're all growing up together. We have the intro that we usually have of welcome, whatever.
Just say it.
Okay, great.
Okay. Still going on, everybody.
That's a wrap.